Hey there, hockey fans. Nick Hart back again, coming to you live from the Lockdown Lounge across all of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins social media platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for another live one-on-one interview. And what a treat this particular one-on-one interview is. We need not waste any time here. Let's jump right in because we've teased this for a couple days now, and now is the grand moment where we get to talk again with former Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins defenseman Barry Goers, who's joining us now live. Barry, how we doing, my friend? It's great to see you.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for having me, man. Great to see you. Great to see all the people in Wilkes-Barre out there. I've missed everybody. I really have.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of fans miss you too. People still come up to me and talk about Barry Goers, ask what you're doing, and well, now you'll have a chance to give the people some of those answers right now. But first and foremost, the reason we hauled you on for this live one-on-one interview is that you are going to be appearing on American Ninja Warrior. And that is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. You've seen it on TV. It's been on television for over a decade now. I'm sure you've spent a lazy Saturday or Sunday afternoon watching replay after replay. Barry Goers is going to be one of those guys running the course. The episode coming up this upcoming Monday. You can tune in and watch that at 8 p.m. Eastern time. But Barry, before we dive into all this American Ninja Warrior stuff, I got to ask you, how have you been? The last time we saw you in a Penguins uniform was back in 2017. So how is life? How is Barry Goers? Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing well, thank you. I will speak a little bit to the end of my hockey career. After leaving Wilkes-Barre there, I followed Coach Taylor to Rochester along with some of the other guys, and we had a great year there. But unfortunately for me, I just had more issues with concussions and what turned into post-concussion syndrome for me. And, unfortunately I had to retire due to that. And so, while my hockey career was short a little early, I certainly enjoyed it. I had a great time throughout my career. I was really happy with everything I accomplished. I truly love my time in Wilkes-Barre with the Penguins. Most of my greatest memories from my hockey career were there. And part of what I was doing after my hockey career in the last few years was getting better from all of my concussions over my career. It really took me about 2 years to get back to a place where I felt more like myself again and a fully functioning human being. It was a difficult road. I'm not going to lie. I really went through a lot, but the great part is I got better, and that's part of my story. To getting on and competing on American Ninja Warrior is we're all about overcoming obstacles, and overcoming post-concussion syndrome was a big obstacle for me.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to hear that you're feeling good again, feeling back to yourself, as you put it, because, if there was, any residual effects of this, I really feel like American Ninja Warrior wouldn't be the best route to go. This is an extremely taxing and demanding thing to do. So glad to hear that you're feeling so good and you've decided to take on this task and really challenge yourself. We'll talk more about American Ninja Warrior. But first, I want to remind the fans that are tuned in watching this one-on-one interview, Nick Hart with Barry Goers, that because we're live on the Penguin social media platforms, you can leave a question for Barry Goers. Drop it in the comments, and we might get to it a little bit later on, take some fan questions for the former Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins defenseman and current American Ninja Warrior. But now I'll ask you about how this all started, Barry. How did you decide to get involved in American Ninja Warrior? How was this seed planted that this is something that, maybe I could do this?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just a huge fan of the show. I mean, really since the beginning, the last decade. And I kind of made it a goal and dream of mine to pursue that when I was done with hockey. Unfortunately, it wasn't something I could try to do while I was still playing. But I said, when hockey's done, I'm going to try to go on and compete on American Ninja Warrior. And it's actually a really crazy story. I live here in the Denver area, Colorado, and I was at this climbing gym, and I'm working out, and I just started talking to this one guy working out near me, and we got to chatting, and I said, I brought up American Ninja Warrior. He's like, yeah, actually, I've competed on the show like 5 times or so. I was like, wait, what? I was like, well, what's your name? Who are you, etc. And it turns out this guy is Jake Murray, and Jake Murray is like a ninja. He competed on the All-Star episode, if you saw that a couple weeks ago. But we really connected and hit it off, and I started training with him and a couple other guys here in Colorado. There's a lot of really great ninjas here in Colorado who are really strong, and you've probably seen on the show. And we just became good buddies, and now we are training partners. So I was really fortunate to run into him, and he helped guide me. I had to apply to get onto American Ninja Warrior, and fortunately I was selected. So I feel really fortunate.
Yeah, Barry Goers, you'll be able to watch him on American Ninja Warrior, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, this upcoming Monday on NBC. This new season of American Ninja Warrior debuted last Monday, crushed it in the ratings. So, Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins fans, let's boost those numbers even more to watch Barry Goers go on that run this upcoming Monday. And speaking of the run, whenever you get to the course, that's the stuff that is obviously televised and has a lot of eyeballs on it, but it's really the culmination of a lot of work, some rigorous training, to put it lightly. So tell us, Barry, how was that? Give us the deets on this training and how difficult it was.
Yeah, certainly. You know what's hilarious, and this was probably me for like 10 years. It's, I would have, I don't know if you've seen any of the memes on social media. It's, I would have made that, someone sitting on their couch. And, a lot of these ninjas are really great athletes, and they make it look really easy. It's not, though. And so I think, for me, especially coming from hockey, I like to say I was trying to reverse engineer myself, right? For hockey, we really build ourselves from the ground up, like leg strength, core strength, and upper body is maybe not quite as important as leg strength. Obviously it is, but a lot of the stuff with American Ninja Warrior is shoulder strength and grip strength and a lot of endurance with those activities. So I really had to try to increase my grip strength and endurance and upper body strength. And oh my gosh, when I first kind of started training for all this a little over a year ago, I've separated my shoulders so many times and stuff, right, playing hockey. I'm like hanging from a bar with one arm is like, oh my gosh, I'm going to rip my arm out, So there was just so much I had to do to try to really strengthen my upper body and grip to try to compete on the show and be a strong competitor.
Yeah, you mentioned how different this kind of training was than what you were used to doing with hockey. I like how you call it reverse engineering your body. I figured that it would be a completely different setup, but was there anything that you found from your hockey career, your experience training as a hockey player, that any element that sort of translated to this kind of training that maybe gave you a little bit of an edge versus some other person who's just been training in a gym, still a great athlete, but maybe doesn't have the professional athlete background that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple things. Just keeping my diet and nutrition even after retiring from hockey, help keep me a little lighter and not gain too much weight. So I'd be lighter for running courses, right? Because maybe in hockey is better for me to be a little heavier, but for Ninja Warrior, it's definitely better for me to be a little lighter in a lot of cases. So that was one thing that definitely translated. Another thing I think helps me in compared to a lot of ninjas is just balance. I think balance and agility really was a strength of mine coming from the hockey background and playing hockey. And what you'll see maybe, I think, or at least I've seen, is a lot of these ninjas who are maybe great climbers or, other different backgrounds weren't necessarily quite as strong on balance. So I always felt confident and like one of my strengths would be balance obstacles. And thirdly, I would say endurance. Obviously, you need great cardio and conditioning playing hockey. And that was definitely one thing I was able to maintain, whether it's through running or riding a bike or swimming, etc. I could definitely try to keep my cardio up. So, what's surprising is it doesn't maybe look like people are moving real quickly all the time through a lot of the obstacles, but it's extremely taxing on your lungs and your cardio doing just with how much you're exerting from your upper body.
Yeah, you talked about, being one of those people that used to watch from the position of the couch before. And, sometimes or my family found ourselves watching it too, and you'd see some people just kind of rip through it. You'd watch it on, and sometimes other people, after they get through one obstacle, they sit down, they take a break or something like that, and you're watching the clock in the corner, you're like, go, go, go. You probably don't realize this dude just went through 3 unbelievable obstacles. He still has maybe 2 or 3 to go. it's okay to kind of take a breather. You're trying to get to the end here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to know your body and know yourself and sort of your pace and what obstacles you have to overcome, and pace yourself out based on that. I mean, some guys, Jake Murray is one of my good buddies and training partner. He's really my mentor and helping me learn about all this stuff. He's really fast, and if I were to try to keep up with him, I probably wouldn't make it. I'd be breathing, wouldn't be able to catch my breath. So it's definitely a big aspect of it, and learning about yourself and your body and how to accomplish that.
Now you talk about Jake Murray and what he's been able to accomplish on the show, and for him to kind of take you under his wing, I'm sure was huge for you actually getting to the point where you can go on this run on national television. But did he give you all the secrets, or did he try and keep a couple to himself? Did you have to do a little bit of espionage to find the real secrets?
Yeah, the higher you go in anything, right, the more detail-oriented something is, right? So, it's really funny. He definitely helped me out with all the basics to start. I mean, there is a lot of technique and a lot of different obstacles, whether for, say, it's one of the most prominent ones being the salmon ladder that we see a lot. There's definitely technique to all that. And even if you think, hey, I can just muscle my way up this, there's definitely some efficiencies you want to create so that you're not exerting yourself, entirely on just one obstacle. You have to be able to do many obstacles through the course. So, it's funny as I kind of get better and grow, there's more and more I learn from him. And it's like, oh my gosh, look at this fine detail here. Whether it's putting a hand in one position or your grip or using your legs and your whole body to swing through an obstacle. There's a lot to it and a lot to learn.
Yeah, I can imagine there's just so much to absorb from a guy like that who's been there, done that, been through it, not just once, but more than a handful of times, as you mentioned before. Live here with Barry Goers, one-on-one on the Penguins social media channels. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Penguins fans, get in the comments. Give us your questions for Barry Goers, and we'll read some fan questions here towards the end of this interview. Maybe you're not even a Penguins fan. Maybe you're just a gigantic Barry Goers fan, and you dropped in for this interview, in which case, welcome, and you too can leave a question for Barry in the comments. I wanted to ask you about this, Barry, too, because you started talking a little bit about the obstacles before in your answer to that last question. Mm-hmm. Was there, and once again, sorry, you were a guy who loved the show, watched the show. Was there any obstacle that in the back of your mind you were dreading? You were like, I really hope I don't see this particular obstacle, or I know I really got to battle to get through if this pops up.
Sure. Oh my gosh. Well, obstacles definitely get harder as you go. I think one thing that was really interesting for me, it was just watching the show over the years. I always wanted to try the salmon ladder, right? But it's like, where can you go to just try a salmon ladder unless you know somebody who maybe has one in their backyard at their own gym, or you go to a ninja specific gym. Yeah, it's hard to find a lot of these obstacles and actually train these obstacles. So to speak to that question, I just always really wanted to try a salmon ladder. And it was funny because the first time I got on one, I was like, oh, I bet I can just pop up this thing real fast. And, I think I popped up like one and then went for the second and fell back on my butt, and I was like, very humbling. I was like, wow, this is much harder than it looks. It's gonna take a lot of work. I'm gonna have to get started here. So one obstacle I feared, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's there are so many little mistakes that can happen. There's such a small margin for error, right? Like in hockey, there's a small margin for error, right? We don't want to turn over the puck or et cetera. But, sometimes, hey, you do turn over the puck and maybe a teammate bails you out or you're able to recover and fix the mistake. But, in the obstacle course in American Ninja Warrior, you make a little mistake and most likely you're going to be swimming right in the water. So there's not a whole lot of margin for error. I think that's one thing that was different for me, and just you had to be a lot sharper on every obstacle. You really have to be focused and detail oriented.
I mean, that totally makes sense. And how you said too, you kind of had that humbling experience going through training too. The fact that you even made it to this point is so impressive to me, because I know, just based on watching these runs on TV after all these years, that I would be the guy who doesn't even make it 5 seconds. The first obstacle that all these great athletes just breeze through, I would be right in the drink right away. no matter what. There's no amount of training I can do. I'm toast right out of the gate.
Right. Well, I know, and I think that's a legitimate fear, if you will, right? It's like,
right.
I hope, so I hear you. Yeah. And to speak to that, I think a lot of times you see it on TV, and maybe, this was just me. I was like, oh, I can do that, right? But you get on the show, and hey, these obstacles are a lot bigger than maybe they appear, right? It's a jump here, or lashing is when you swing from maybe one bar to another. A lot of times, maybe on TV it looks closer than it is, but you get out there on this big stage and these big obstacles, and it's like, oh man, can I make that? And it can be intimidating for sure.
Yeah, the swing that you're talking about, that's one of the ones that I know, like 0%, negative percent chance that I could ever pull that off. It's one of those things, pigs would fly before Nick Hart completes this swing on American Ninja Warrior. Not a chance, but hopefully we'll get to see you pull off some of these stunts and overcome these obstacles that you've been talking about when you go on your American Ninja Warrior run. Once again, that will be on NBC this upcoming Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you're tuning in to cheer on Barry Goers, the former Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins defenseman. Barry, wanted to ask you to jump back in the time machine here too, to when you were wearing the black and gold. We're here in northeastern Pennsylvania, and I know you were a guy that was pretty active in the community as well, and that was pretty important to you. Just speak to why that was something that was so valuable to you, and how you were able to kind of forge that connection with the northeastern Pennsylvania area.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something growing up through, just through my family that was instilled in me was just always try to give back in some way. So I always tried to find something to do through the community. At different times in my career, I was doing different things. At one point, I was helping raise phones with cell phones for soldiers, and actually helped raise over 1,000 phones over a few years in my career. And oh my gosh, I shaved my head a couple of years for, I believe it was called St. Baldrick's Day, to help raise money for cancer research. I actually did that one time in Cleveland. After a game, I let a woman, we had sort of an auction for somebody to shave my head. So I did that right after a game and on the ice.
On the ice?
Yeah, on the ice. I should say on the bench, but right there on the ice after the game. Yeah, close enough. And so that was really fun. And I did that trip down to Guatemala, where I helped raise some money for a small rural school down there. And actually, the people of Wilkes-Barre were really great about helping contribute to that. And actually, we did help them build a school down there. I'll have to see. Maybe I'll have to follow up on that, and I can find some pictures, because it's really grown and developed a lot since then. And I was really thankful for people who helped take part in all that. But one group or foundation that I connected with here in Colorado actually has a Wilkes-Barre connection. Doug Lasecki does a lot of, I think he keeps stats for some of the games there with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins and the AHL. And he actually had a college roommate who lived here in Denver. And this college roommate had started what's called the Dog Nation Hockey Foundation. And Dog Nation helps raise money for a lot of people in need in the hockey community. It could be people who were maybe in a car accident or are recovering from cancer, or anything, burn victims. I mean, even former military, anything and anyone related to the hockey community, we've helped out. And a lot of it is actually connected with former Avalanche players here. But every year, every summer, I play in this charity tournament weekend called the Dog Bowl. And there's actually a lot of teams from all over the country who compete in this. And we've raised hundreds of thousands, I think millions of dollars at this point over the years. And really is a great cause. And something to check out. You can check it out at Dog Nation, hockeyfoundation.org, I believe it is. Dog spelled D-A-W-G.
D-A-W-G. Always got to catch out for that dog.
That's right.
That's awesome. The Wilkes-Barre connection there. People helping people, as you have always been one to do. We've been mentioning these fan questions before, and we saw it pop up earlier. The fan questions have been coming in. This is coming from Cindy. She's asking, are you still helping build schools and getting supplies to kids? And she wishes you good luck as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Cindy. Unfortunately, right now I'm not opposed to getting back into that. They kind of had some success there through us, and I lost touch a little bit just with a lot of things I went through. Going through post-concussion syndrome was really hard for me, and I kind of closed myself in from the world there for about a year or two. So I kind of lost touch with some of those groups, but it's not hard for me to reach back out via Facebook and kickstart that again if that was something people would be interested in helping with. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you still definitely managed to stay busy with other charity work like you were talking about, and of course, training for American Ninja Warrior. But now let's divert our attention from what you're doing off the ice to your career on the ice. Another fan question that came in, Tom asking, why did you wear number 41 in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and Rochester? Give him the answer, Barry.
Yeah, well, I wish I could say it was a really cool story, and it's some magical number. But honestly, coming from the East Coast Hockey League, and I started out with the Wheeling Nailers there before climbing up to the ranks there in Wilkes-Barre. But you know what they do? They hand you a jersey and they say, "Here's your number." I figured since I was able to stick in the AHL with Wilkes-Barre and that number, it was perfect for me, and I like that. So that number definitely carried with me to Rochester, and I definitely like to consider my number when I was playing.
Yeah, that's like you said, there's not really a brilliant Marvel Studios level origin story there, but I like that you stuck with it. You committed to number 41 throughout your career.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of found me, and I felt like I found it. So, you can't always have I was number 6 a lot during my career, in college and prior to that, et cetera. And, Scott Harrington was number 6, and I don't think they were going to give me Scott Harrington's number. So it's kind of one of those dilemmas you run into. So 41 worked for sure.
It definitely worked. And maybe we'll see you wearing a number 41 when you're going through your run on American Ninja Warrior this upcoming Monday on NBC. Another question finally from our fans regarding the American Ninja Warrior run. Danielle jumping in the comments. She said she loved watching the show. Jake is a great mentor to have. But do you think this is something that you'll keep doing? I mean, you might reach the mountaintop here, but, is this something that you feel like could become a regular occurrence for Barry Goers?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question, Danielle. Jake is a great mentor. I'm so fortunate. I mean, think about how the world universe works. I mean, I was so fortunate to run into Jake randomly, and to kind of even more, he decided to take me under his wing and help teach me and show me a lot. But absolutely, I absolutely love Ninja. I'll say, it was definitely hard for me after my hockey career, finding, that transition is very difficult, and finding something as a physical outlet, especially with my head injuries, don't want to get hit in the head anymore. And with the ninja training, sure, you can fall and different stuff, but a lot of times you're a lot more in control than maybe someone who bumps into you on the ice out of control or hits you in the head with their stick or whatever, right? So there's a lot more, it's an environment I can control a lot more training for Ninja. It's kind of this new thing where it's much more challenging for me. By no means was I the greatest hockey player ever, but, for myself, felt like I really mastered and accomplished a lot with the game. So I'm someone who really likes to do new things and explore new things. So to answer the question, and I'll throw this tidbit in there too. So Colorado has a lot of really great ninjas. It's definitely a hub for people. There's a lot of people from Colorado who compete on American Ninja Warrior. And so in Colorado here, we have what's called CNL, or Colorado Ninja League. And so I did CNL for the first time this year. There's two divisions, amateur and pro. And I competed in the amateur division, and I actually ended up winning the amateur division this year. So that automatically puts me into the pro division for next year, where I have to compete against Jake and a lot of other great ninjas you'll see this year on the show. Austin Gray, Nate Hansen was a kid on last week. And so I have to compete against all these guys next year. So some of the best competition in the country is right here in Colorado for me.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short on your hockey career either, Barry. I know myself and a lot of people in northeastern Pennsylvania absolutely love watching number 41 step on the ice for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, and they'll be just as thrilled to watch you this upcoming Monday on American Ninja Warrior. And I think Kathy echoes those statements as well. She says she misses hockey with all that's going on in the world right now, but it's going to be fun watching you as a ninja.
Wow, well, I appreciate that, Kathy. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really great. NBC, they have NHL playoffs going on and American Ninja Warrior. I mean, you can catch it all right there on NBC. How great is that, right?
Perfect transition right there. Are you auditioning for a job with NBC now too?
I don't know. Hey, I don't know if I'm a commentator as well or commentate as well as you do, Nick, but I can be open to some things. I try to be entrepreneurial, so let's see where it goes, right?
Hockey player, ninja, and who knows what else. Barry Goers, ladies and gentlemen. Barry, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your day back in your home state of Colorado to talk to us. Once again, you'll be able to watch the former Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins defenseman on American Ninja Warrior this upcoming Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. I know I'm going to be parked on the couch, have my popcorn popped and my foam finger out. I'll be cheering for you, Barry. And hey, if you make it through, what do you say we set a date and talk about it again? Sound good?
That sounds fair. If I make it through, I will. I hope to see you again.
Hope to see you again. I feel strongly about this. You were a great athlete with the Penguins, but it's a tough run, American Ninja Warrior. I'm so excited for this. I'm almost running out of words because this is going to be a blast. Pumped up for Monday, but it's still Thursday. We got a long ways to go, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll thank you one more time, Barry, for joining us. Thanks to the fans for popping in with those comments and questions. We really appreciate your engagement here with another successful live one-on-one interview. Barry, say goodbye to the people.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Catch you next week, next Monday night. We'll see how things go.
We'll see how things go, ladies and gentlemen. Barry Goers on American Ninja Warrior. Don't miss it. Thanks for tuning in here live, one-on-one. Nick Hart, Barry Goers on the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins social media.